Ah, what's happening? What is happening? It's been a couple weeks, right? I know I wasn't around last weekend. We celebrating life. I don't think I was around the weekend before either, man. And that's my bad. We didn't mean to do that. Um, before I get started, rest in peace, Uncle Cal. They laid my uncle to rest today. My one of my grandma's younger brothers. And a salute to all the family that could show up. I apologize that I could not. I'm sorry I could not make it. But always, always start with the fam and always start with the love, right? And then also, before we get started, excuse my voice, excuse my energy. I've been in a bad mood. I've been in a bad mood today, but we're gonna talk some hip hop. We're gonna talk some hip hop in a real way because I got a really dope topic today. If you can see the subject line, what is the most impactful debut rap album ever? I want you to check it out. I want you to put in the comments what you think it is as I prepare to give you my answer. And we break down some of these albums. Matter of fact, even some of the albums that are in the thumbnail for this live tonight. Okay. So also, man, hey, look, we can't forget Made in the 1980s. Made in the 1980s. That is the name of the podcast that happens weekly on this channel. Friday morning is when the audio goes out, and Saturday morning is when the video, exclusively to YouTube, goes out and live. And Saturday Night Live, Rap Saturday Night Live. Hey, listen, man, I am sorry. I have not been as consistent as I wanted to be with these. I've been on the move. I've been on the go, and it it adds some pressure. It adds some things like I gotta get set up, find a quiet place, make sure I got topics and notes and all that because I don't want to half-ass it. I want to mail it in. I want to make sure that y'all get good content worth tuning into every single week I do this because you're going to do it right or you're not going to do it at all. That's just the way I gets down. So appreciate all of you. Hey, we got to go to the chart. The chart going up for a while. I was well under that 250 sub mark. Look where we at now, though. We are at 266 subscribers to the YouTube channel. So thank you very much. So that means you do get to pick the review. Somebody does. Register to win. I put the link. It should be the first or second comment. Shout out to my man, Girl Dad Dividend Investor. He's probably the first comment on here, but I just put the link into the comments of the YouTube comment section. Hey, listen, that's the only place to really win. The YouTube winners. We're looking out for YouTube because YouTube is where we are building this platform. Okay. And that is how you get a chance to pick the next music review. I don't care what genre, I don't care what year. If it's an album that whether I've heard it or not, does not matter. I just want the engagement. I want to do it for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that I am giving back as I ask for your time, your attention, your subscription, your call to action. As I ask for all of that, I at least want to give something in the process. And starting off, that's going to be the next music review. You get to pick it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to wait though. So I do got an album on deck that I'm going to do Tuesday if I don't get anybody to enter in this register to win. And then we'll just do it whenever I get people in there is when I will select a person. I'll reach out via email. You tell me the album you want me to do, or as you register, because there should be an extra section to just add your own comments or whatever in there. Put that in there. Put that. Whoa, pause. Pause, or that's what she said. Whichever one. Put the album you would like me to review, and I'll pick it. and then it'll go live. And we'll do it, and we'll do it the right way. Tuesdays is when we do the YouTube lives. All right. Always and forever on Tuesdays. Tuesdays and Saturdays, you can guarantee content of the music persuasion from the Camp for the Poor YouTube channel. So thank you in advance. Again, excuse my face, excuse my attitude, but we're trying to pick it up. All right. Let's talk some hip hop. I love hip hop. I love rap music. So let's talk about it in a real way. The most impactful debut rap album ever. First, let's start by saying this is a very short list. Watch 1 second. So, real quick, I know that the overall just rap world, right? The hip hop community, everybody involved in rap music, I think we think a lot of albums are classics. Sometimes we think the classics after one listen or after 8 hours of being available to DSPs or because you personally like this album more than most. And I'm not here to dispute that. Originally this topic was going to be what is the classic of classics, even though I think I have the one. I think I have one in the same. The album I'm going to talk to y'all about today, I believe is not only the classic of all rap classics, like it's the blueprint, the foundation for so many other classics after it. But I also think this is the most impactful debut rap album. And it's rare that you get both of those at the same time. Now, granted, the classic of classics, that, especially as time goes on, that can be super debatable. But I wanted to really hone in here. I wanted to narrow the playing field, narrow the criteria, because there's 1,000 albums, 1,000 rap albums that could be considered classics, but there's maybe 30, and that's being super generous, 30 rap albums that can be the most impactful debut album ever as far as rap music goes. That's a very short list. Everybody don't make this list because your debut album may not be your best album. Your debut album may be your only album that you're actually alive for. R.I.P. Biggie Smalls. But impact for me is the criteria of all criteria. At minimum, it weighs 50% for me when you're talking about classics, classic albums. Cultural impact to me is music sounded this way, this project drops, this starts happening because that dropped. And I think when you have something so robust but so undeniable, that helps narrow this down a lot. So respectfully, a lot of your favorites of all time ain't on this list. They ain't nowhere near this list as far as debut albums are concerned. It don't mean they're not dope albums. Shoot, it don't mean that some of them ain't even classic. They just don't belong here under the most impactful debut ever. Hip hop will be 52 years old this year in August. Most impactful ever. That's a lot of albums, man. And listen, as we talk about this, I also want to say this because there are a lot of debut albums in the now 50 plus years of hip hop culture and rap music, right? And dare I say, there are more classics than we realize based on what cities artists are from and the exposure that they brought to the music and how a lot of the sounds get interpolated and just flat out bitten for another, lack of a better word, and like the oversaturation. Like, for instance, Chief Keef, Finally Rich. Now, It ain't. Some of you may not think that's a classic just because you don't like the way he raps, but where is drill music as a genre without specifically Chief Keef's Finally Rich? Just a fair question in my estimation. Nelly, Country Grammar. Again, you may not love the album. Um, Sold a lot of records, and that's important. But more importantly, though, where was the St. Louis rap scene specifically? Where was the St. Louis rap scene before Country Grammar? Some impact is just undeniable. And those are just two examples. So off top, right? I've given you three albums that ain't the one. Gave you Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G., gave you Finally Rich by Chief Keef, and I gave you Nelly Country Grammar. So, spoiler alert, none of those are my pick for the most impactful debut rap album. All right. So what is the most impactful rap album though? This week, I'm going to lobby for one album, just one. I'll entertain any conversation, any rebuttal, any debate, and even a couple arguments, depending on what you have. But I'm going to lobby for one album. And years ago, I said this album was the classic of all classics, and we're gonna get to that. But first, let's talk about some of the albums that qualify. Who qualifies to be in this, right? Let's start recent first. What qualifies to be the most impactful debut rap album? Hey, listen, Kanye West, College Dropout. And I know Kanye in 2025 is not Kanye in 2003. And a lot of the antics and things that he's said and done over time is wild. It's wild. No matter what. There should be a line of getting attention and holding the mirror up. And unfortunately, what he's doing is it's kind of destroying the legacy a little bit. But then again, for the people that don't take him too seriously, the music is the music, and they're starting to love the music again, all over again. Now, College Dropout, at full transparency, this was an album that I thought that was being classic. I thought that this was a classic. I was actually leaning more towards Late Registration being this first classic, and definitely probably like Graduation or My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But over time, again, when you live in the moment and you see 2 or 3 years go by, and then you hear the albums, and you hear the mixtapes from a Big Sean or a John Connor, and you hear the way the Chicago music scene changes and how soul sample beats, which were not necessarily a brand new thing, but the way specifically Kanye West was doing them became a thing, and the way his rhyme style became a thing. And it was far beyond just people in Chicago. That in itself, it makes it a classic. It makes it impactful. Again, for the first 10 years of it, I fought it. I tried to deny it. I tried to say, but there's better albums. And then that was, for me, the time where I was like, well, you know what? Maybe classics don't have to be the greatest album you've ever heard. It just needs to be that impactful. Because the skits alone for this album, it sends me in the whirlwind. I hate the skits. The majority of these skits are super garbage to me on the College Dropout album, but that doesn't mean that it's not a classic. What's another one? What's another one out here? Okay, hey, listen, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. The Great Adventures of Slick Rick is a classic album. Why? Because for that one album, even though Slick Rick dropped, I think, 2 or 3 more albums, this album alone, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, is why he is still considered by many. I don't know if it's 50% or more still, but that one album alone made him the greatest storyteller of all time to a legion, definitely a generation and a half, if not 2 generations of artists and fans. I also look at how just the Great Adventures of Slick Rick is, I mean, how many times has Children's Story and Lottie Dottie and other albums, other songs from this album just been remade? The Slick Rick flow in general. You can tell when somebody's doing the Slick Rick flow. Now, granted, again, he's not the first storyteller in rap ever, but for many people, he is the absolute best. And we are going on what, 40 years since that album has been out. So hard to hard to deny that he's up there as far as impact. A lot of people say they do storytelling rap specifically because of Slick Rick. So you can't leave an album and an artist like that out of this conversation. And seeing that's what I'm talking about. See, his impact is well beyond his years. Slick Rick is still getting a lot of show money to do the song solely off of his debut album. Not many people can say they're doing it like that. They can't. Oh man. Let's see. Okay, so now look, I threw a couple albums out here because you know Uncle Luke is responsible for bringing like hip hop and the Miami bass sound and hip hop. He's like responsible for creating it in Miami, Florida, and that is a big deal. The Two Live Crew is What We Are album. Off that alone has a major impact, but I think Bad As We Want to Be is just the one though. That's when that one, and then maybe even banned in the USA. But it's hard to deny that you can have a conversation about the Two Live Crew. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really have a conversation without Two Live Crew when you talk about most impactful debut albums. I mean, listen, if nothing else, I mean they came out the gate firing. They came out the gate firing. But as nasty as they want to be, might just be the one. But I think ain't that hey, we want some hey. I think that's on the first one. So it's hard not to like that. It's hard not to like that. But that again, what they were doing with music, Throw the D is on. Yeah, matter of fact, yeah, it is on there. We want some okay, it's on there. And get it, girl. And Throw the D. Those are three songs that are on there. And that is now granted, it starts a movement. It starts a movement, a very impactful movement that is still alive and thriving to this day. But is it the most impactful album in rap music ever? I think it falls just short of that. Um, I gotta do these because it's important. We ain't really show no West Coast love for real. So hey, listen, let's do the 2-in-1. Dr. Dre's The Chronic, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. Now, the caveat here is that Snoop may have put out two of the most impactful albums ever back to back because he's writing and on the majority of the Chronic album, and then he does Doggy Style. Doggy Style, as it should be, is considered by many to be the greatest single hip hop album ever, the number one, like the number one spot. I don't recall Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style being out of too many people's top 3 or 5s. With Snoop and Doggy Style, that was the first time I ever seen gang banging, like real gang banging on wax or as artistry. NWA, Straight Outta Compton, don't get me wrong, they was gangster, but Snoop was a gang banger. And that was the difference. And he became an international superstar, being a gangbanger. And I've never seen anything like that. Now, at the same time, everybody did want the Snoop flow, but it was not easily replicated or duplicated. You couldn't really just take Snoop whole style. You couldn't really come out with the Dickies and the Chucks and the flannels and being too smooth. He brought Chronic to the game. Like, there's so many impactful things. Like, this is like a lot of these things are why Snoop Dogg is the most famous, the most popular, the rap icon, the rap superstar of all, right? But however, I think what he does just falls just short of this most impactful rap album, but very possible. Just a few more I want to just talk about real quick. Nas Illmatic. Now, I'm a Nas guy. Nas is my favorite rapper in the world. But to put it to you short, the album that I'm about to pick is the album that inspired him. So for that reason alone, can't give it to him. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. Again, incredible album. But for those that know, is this really his first album? Are we still counting Power of a Dollar? Or is Get Rich or Die Trying the debut album? Now, does this album do wonders for G Unit and Shady Aftermath and Interscope? Yeah, but you know what? Hey, listen, after 50 Cent pops, pun intended, there was a good 5-year run or longer of other rappers that had also been shot. And that was their promo. Like, oh yeah, I've been shot before. I almost died. And but I made it, and now I'm here to rap for y'all. Like that was a thing. That was a thing. Um, in hindsight, it's a very nasty era. We should have highlighted something greater than that. But the impact of 50 Cent, he got shot 9 times, but then surviving and then creating one of the greatest rap albums ever made. That's powerful. And hey, listen, if nothing else, it empowered a lot of victims, a lot of street victims to the streets of violence. And I mean that respectfully. TM 101, TM 101, which turns 20 years old this year, by the way. TM 101 turns 20 in July. Now, I know who created trap music. Ti will probably always be the father of that, right? But I don't think there's ever been a trap album that set a city on fire like TM 101 did. Listen, I I lived in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta the week TM 101 dropped. I'd never seen anything like that at that time. And I lived in Chicago when College Dropout was out. And I lived back in Chicago when, what was it, Graduation? Yeah, when Graduation was out. And I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like when Jeezy dropped TM 101 in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was on Peachtree and off of Georgia 400, and I could and riding through Bankhead and Buckhead because I don't know where I'm going. I'm just riding around, and that album was playing windows down every single place. I've never seen anything like that. I heard stories about that, but I never really experienced it like that. Let me go to the comments real quick. I see somebody just popped in. My brother right here says, "I'm old school. I'm going to say Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. The message it provided social commentary about life in the inner city at a time with no social media to reach out for help or understanding. Distributing the album got word to the powers that be. Help was needed." I love this answer. I love this answer. For me, the message as a song, just as a song by itself, I think that is probably the most accurate reality rap or street song, whatever you want to call it. I think it's one of the one of, if not the most accurate rap song ever. And because here we are 5 decades later, and everybody's verse is literally, you can literally put it in today. So, like, because like there was a point, okay, maybe it wasn't the Sugar Ray fight, maybe it was a Tyson fight, maybe okay, it's not that. So now it's the Mayweather fight, right? And now it could be the Tank Davis fight. You could just plug and play, you know. But I mean, Melly Mel's last verse, that's one of the most, that verse is so far has time. A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. That, just kicking off a verse with that in the 70s in 2025, that still makes perfect sense today. I will never discredit the message as a song. To be real, I don't know about the whole entire album. I gotta get hit. I ain't gonna lie, I gotta get hit. But the message as a song, that is, to me, that is the most accurate rap song that's ever been made, because you can put it in any single era. All you really have to do is insert or switch out the pop culture references of that time, and it still makes perfect sense. And it's not that many. Let me see. Where was I at? Okay. Hey, and for y'all out there, because I know, well, I don't want to just leave it to just the 80s and 90s. I threw Good Kid, Mad City out there. Good Kid, Mad City. I think Good Kid, Mad City and It's Dark and Hell is Hot. You can check the temperature of just life and music. But again, are we counting Good Kid, Mad City? Because a lot of you like to say that Kendrick has like 30 classic albums and it starts with Section 80. So, but it didn't make my list regardless. It didn't make the top of my list regardless. But, for all of you, Good Kid, Mad City. So, if Good Kid, Mad City is a debut album, are y'all willing to concede that finally that Section 80 is just a mixtape, or it's just something that you're just not counting anymore? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. But since I've given y'all all this breakdown, I think it's only right that I now officially give you the album that I feel is the most impactful album in rap ever. Impactful debut rap album ever. Need a sip of water for this. All right. Excuse me. Sorry. The album that I'm going to pick, and I'm going to stand on this album until somebody else gives me a better debate or a better just perspective on another album, because I don't think anything beats this one. So me, Camp from the Port says Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full is the most impactful debut rap album ever. And it's not even close. It's literally not close. Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full, the most impactful debut rap album ever. Let's talk about it. I got 6 definite reasons for it being in the number 1 spot, but let's just get to the first 5. The first 5 that makes the most sense. Now, okay, this album drops in July 7th of 1987 to be exact. So, first of all, I'm not about to sit here and cap. I was made in the 1980s. This album comes out, I'm in first grade, okay? And it's summer vacation. So I got second grade coming up. So I'm not about to give you a story about how I was there and I went and copped the vinyl and me and my homies played the album. No, that's not my reality. This album, respectfully, is a little bit ahead of my time. Yes, do I know it exists? Do I see videos? Yeah, I'm really aware of all of that. But this ain't This is not something I could have copped in real time. And I'm still telling you, Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full, is the most impactful debut rap album ever. Let's go back to July of 87, right? Because by 87, hip hop is naturally being regarded as a fad, right? Even though platinum albums exist, and even though like tours are being done, they don't think this is still going to last. It's just, as the De La Soul Stakes is High skit said, it's just niggers talking, right? So they don't think this is going to be a thing at all. 1987, though, also, hey, listen, Run DMC are currently superstars. They are international superstars. And depending on who you ask from that time, they have two classic albums back to back, Kings of Rock and Raising Hell. Those, as people that have educated me and talked to me about hip hop as I was coming up, they said that that was the bar. So King of Rock, Raising Hell already exist before Paid in Full comes out. So there's not like there's just this open lane that exists because, hey, listen, before that, you got to think it's 1986. So many things are already in existence. Like, the Beastie Boys, License to Ill is out. Dougie Fresh is out. All right, with the Get Fresh crew, Two Live Crew, they're already out. They've already dropped. Curtis Blow, Biz Markie, Ice-T, MC Shan, Bambaata's out. LL Cool J's already dropped Radio. Like, all this exists. Everything exists. And in the midst of all of that, I'm still telling you, Paid in Full has to be at the top spot, because here's the thing that I think people like discount. When you start something and you become the star or the benchmark, that's one thing, right? So again, you never discredit a Melly Mel, because Melly Mel is actually nice. If you really listen to him, he's like super nice. But unfortunately, like, off of them, like the Sugar Hill Gang never really makes these kind of lists. Yes, they made the hit rap record, they made the first rap party records and all of that, but they usually don't make these conversations because it could be fan base. It could be because Grandmaster Caz wrote Big Bang Hank's verse. You know what I mean? Like, it could be all those things. But by the time you get to 86, 87, 85, 86, 87, this is when, okay, now the big boys are outside. Curtis Blow is outside and he doing his 1-2. So there's not a lot of leeway to just be subpar or average. Like, you can't just be there. Like, that's not like today, where you can record your music, upload it to a DSP, pay the right amount of money, and it's going to get around. It's like, nah. A lot of these dudes are meeting at the parks, rapping, coming with rhymes to fight for a chance to just be heard. It's not even about record deals. It's just trying to be heard at this point. So by the time you get to 1986, and I don't know the exact date, and I apologize for this, but there's a A&B selection from Eric B. and Rakim that drops, right? Eric B. is President, and My Melody. These are the joints. In the midst of, like, Run DMC going crazy, LL Cool J becoming a superstar, Ice-T already in existence, Biz Markie, so he's putting on Kane. This is happening. You know what I mean? Like, Dougie Fresh, the Get Fresh crew. I'm sorry, Two Live Crew is already out. They tell you what they want. You know what I'm saying? You know what they want. You dig? In Miami. And there's obvious anticipation. And Eric B. is President, and My Melody, they come out in like 86. Album's not coming out till next year. See, albums were a lot slower. You couldn't just throw your single out, and then if people felt it, you wait 48 hours and you just drop the album. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But the first reason, well, I mean, well, no, I'm sorry. This is actually really the second or third reason, right? I'm telling you what exists in 1987. I'm telling you who's out. I'm telling you who's the superstars. And the albums exist. Like classic albums, there is a bar, there is a benchmark for classic albums, and it has been stated already. And Rakim is the first rapper in New York State, but not from a New York borough, to cause a major stir. Now, feel free to educate me on anybody else you want. Okay. Anybody else you want. But we're talking about 1987. And we're talking about the album that is Paid in Full. Because I know. What about EPMD? EPMD are one of my favorite duos in hip hop ever, right? Central Islip and Brentwood, New York, right? Eric and Parrish making dollars. And I get it. And I get it. I promise you I get it. But there is just something about when Rakim dropped that just resonated greater than EPMD albums. Again, I wasn't there. I was 5 or 6 years old, okay? I mean, I was alive. I was coherent, but there wasn't there wasn't really a calling for what they were doing. I mean, well, hold up. Let me say that right. Let me say that right. Let me say that right. They're not from the boroughs either, right? However, Rakim's run is a little ahead of theirs, although it runs a lot parallel. You know, that's what I mean. Because what Strictly Business is that 87 or 88? I don't think yeah. So, Rakim has them about like a year and some change, maybe, as far as dropping first albums go. And needless to say, man, look, the point is the other reason why I got Eric B and Rakim Paid in Full as the most impactful debut album, because Rakim is not from the Bronx. He's not from Brooklyn. He's not from Queens. He's not from Harlem. He's not from Staten Island. He's not from Manhattan. He's from Long Island. And he got borough love off the rip for being that nice, off of 2 records. To this very day, that's a stat. To this day, that's a stat. When you are from New York State and the boroughs love you, that is still a stat. Why do you think Griselda is where they are today? And why they still say that they had the same issues. They're being from Buffalo, so that's even further away than Rakim was. But NYC, the 5 boroughs in Staten Island, they all are kind of all encompassing, all inclusive, right? Because even think back to Wu-Tang. Now, Wu-Tang is Staten Island, but 2 or 3 of their members are from Brooklyn. So even that in itself is just a help. It's just a help to what they're doing. So that's that alone. Eric B as president, My Melody drops. Anticipation from New York State, but outside the boroughs. That's very important. Hip hop started in the Bronx. Queens and the Bronx have been battling. Brooklyn is producing high quality MCs. Harlem has Dougie. You know what I'm saying? Rob Bass. And a lot of great things and style, the fashion, Dapper Dan's Harlem. You know what I'm saying? A lot of another other contributions are coming from these areas. And now here comes this guy from Long Island. That's important. Rough enough to break New York from Long Island. That's what he meant. It's like, y'all not even from here. But I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it here. I'm gonna assert myself and I'm gonna be one of the best that y'all recognize, whether I'm here or not. Prodigy know a lot about that. Prodigy know a lot about that because he also, and he from Hempstead, but was repping QB. You know what I'm saying? So let me see here. Hold on here. So before I get to this, I want to check the comments. I see another comment come up. One second. Let's see what we got here. It says, when you use the word impactful in the title, are you referring to having a positive impact? Because I also think debut albums like Chief Keef, Finally Rich is also impactful, but in a negative way. It set the whole scene for drill. You know what? Hey, wildly enough, I was saying this exact same thing in the intro, my brother. Um, Impactful is impactful. I don't want to split the hairs of it being positive or negative. Um, I think it is more important to highlight the positives, which is what I'm doing here. Well, when I say Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full, the most impactful debut rap album ever, I think it's important for us to highlight that because, hey, in this album, nobody dies. Um, I don't think that you can blame this for the crack era becoming what it is, or for the black on black murder rate or gang violence. I don't think you can equate any of that to being a part of this album. I think if anything, it embodies true lyricism and some other points that I want to get to here. Matter of fact, since we say that, let's speed along here. You know, um, I've already covered the first four steps, right? So look, number four, look, let's talk about the actual album. The actual album itself is 10 songs, only 10 songs. And five of those songs are regarded as classics, undeniable classic rap records, right? And that's depending on how you feel about Eric B. is on the cut and move the crowd. Now, Eric B. Is on the cut as an instrumental, but I was told this was very iconic at the house parties and the basement parties. I was told that. Again, I was not outside like that. I was on bikes and I was in the house before the street lights came on when this was rocking. And outside of maybe my uncle or maybe my mom, nobody really played Paid in Full like that. So I didn't really see the effects of it like I did like just other albums. Like I'm from the Midwest. So a lot of Chicago music is gonna get more burned just off the rip. But you know, by the way, again, two of the songs are instrumentals. And when I say five classic records, right? I don't want to just say stuff. You just think I'm just talking, right? But Paid in Full, the album, right? You got Paid in Full, the single. I Ain't No Joke is on this album. Eric Beard's President is on this album. My Melody is on this album. I Know You Got Soul is on this album. Like, you can't even tell me just off the titles alone that you've never heard these songs and that they're not staples in hip hop. That there is not a true hip hop DJ that doesn't have these five records in their collections. They have to have it. They have the whole album basically. So, you know, uh, 8 tracks, five of them are classic, and that's one album. You can't guarantee five classic records on any album, and this is not just a today thing. This is just a life thing. This is a hip hop thing. There's not five. There's not a guaranteed five classic albums, and at that percentage either. That's 5 out of 8. Now you might get 5 out of 15. True, and even then it's 3 out of 15, right? But when you're talking 5 out of 8, well, that's over half the album. That's over 60% of the album. Just regarded as classic songs, like songs that you need as far as hip hop goes. You don't get that often. And this is one of the first albums to really like have that. Now, granted, there's some joints, there's some classes on some other albums, but I also think they're longer albums than this one as well. Then you got the cover, the album cover. Eric B and Rakim looking like the rich street dudes of Harlem. You know what I'm saying? They got the knocked up because it was a knockoff. Dapper Dan wasn't doing knockoffs; he was doing knockups. He was doing the like the classic, like the Gucci print, Louis Vuitton print, and he was making like jackets for the drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? And just for the street guys, if you will. And 87, this is the crack game is about to go crazy. Now again, this is not necessarily a positive thing. It's not necessarily a positive thing. But this look on this cover, the look of Eric B and Rakim on this cover, it's symbolic of the times. It's symbolic of what people wanted to be, what people wanted to have. You know what I'm saying? You see the rings and the ropes. They got cash. They standing behind money. They got the Dapper Dan on, Kango, slope fade with the part like they doing it, and it's really very simplistic. No smiles, no smiles, just money getting. Like those are things that again, we're leaving, what was it, the soul era and alternative, like kind of rock era, disco and all that, and where it was, seen as being like, you want to be like elaborate, you want to stand out. And then you got Run DMC, who came in all black, leather, hats, Adidas, again, iconic looks. LL Cool J with the Kango and the Adidas jumpsuit, tracksuits, and all of that. And still, they weren't quite doing it like this. Now, granted, Jam Master Jay's style is definitely Queen Street, but the Harlem swag being adopted by Eric B and Rakim, that was different. That was a big thing. That was a big thing. And look, and again, somebody from the era that really lived it. They should speak on this more than I should, but I'll say it like this. Eric B and Rakim kind of become some of the faces of what your neighborhood superstar, your neighborhood ghetto superstar looks like. Except they're moving rhymes. They're not moving weight. So we covered the music, we've covered the style, we covered the look. To me, that should be enough. But let's get to the most important of them all, the style. The style is what really makes this what it is. Paid in Full, Eric B and Rakim, the most impactful debut rap album ever. The reason why it's at the top of this list for me, all rooted in the style. What is the style? I don't think there is another album that exists in hip hop, decade for decade, that has been more recited, reused, and remixed, just lyric wise, than Eric B and Rakim's Paid in Full. I don't believe there is one. Help me out. Um, I know you could probably. Big is up there. Don't get me wrong. Big is up there. But it's two albums. Some people steal from Life After Death, or borrow, or pay homage to Life After Death, and some do Ready to Die. You just never know. You know, he's up there, but it's the same ones. I don't think more lyrics get used. I'm just throw out some that you know, or that you may not know. Somebody else got them from somewhere else, because they get incorporated in verses, but also hooks. They've been scratches, whatever it is. Thinking of a master plan off the rip. You know that, right? Play Paid in Full. That's the intro, the first bar. I don't like to dream about getting paid. Hey, I thought Warren G came up with that when I heard this DJ. I thought he came up with it because I don't even remember hearing it. because I'm 14 now. I'm 14, I think, 13 or 14 when Warren G drops This DJ. So I'm not really, you're not really going back to albums like that. I thought he came up with that. No, no. I don't want to dream about getting paid. Again, another line from Paid in Full, the song. The song. MC means move the crowd. MC means move the crowd. Luda and Wayne used that. Theory of the Mind album. Shoot the praise, the phrase paid in full. It's been a movie. It's been a way of life. Even King Combs and all his homies jumped in the paid in full beat. When Nas first dissed Jay, it was to paid in full. Before Ether. I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Now I slam it to the ground and make sure it's broke. I know you heard that. I know you've heard that too many times. Also, you know what I'm saying? Oh, wait, no. I can't give you microphone Fiend. I'm sorry. Different album. Almost got me. Almost got me. Because I'm number one, competition is none. Paid in full. 1987, first time it was ever said. I came in the door, said it before. I know that's been used several times throughout the 90s for sure. Taking off my coat, clearing my throat. Now Pac used that. I know y'all know that. Got my mind made up. All Eyes on Me album. I know you don't remember that one. I know you remember that. And he said that like he wrote that himself. Let me see. Oh, just even I forget. I don't know if it's NLE Chopper or NBA Youngboy. I forget. But somebody used clap to this. Specifically, Rakim's voice on clap to this. Clap to this. Make clap to this. Somebody's used that. A young boy too. Shoot, hey. As you look up and there's a stare in your face, you're seeing stun. Remember me, the one you got your idea from. Pun used that. Pun, Prodigy, Deck. That's on Trey Leches from Capital Punishment, Big Pun's album, debut album. Great, impactful album as well. Listen, man, that's just this album. That's just this album, and those are the ones that I'm highlighting. If you listen to the album, you'll find the other ones. In a world where every superstar, gold and platinum rapper was yelling and aggressive over hard, like rock influenced beats, or just like, just that and just like the very boisterous, loud, aggressive tones that existed in hip hop. Paid in Full changed all of that. It changed it. Rakim was able to cut through with very rough rhymes, but in a very relaxed, like a very just smooth kind of tone. Like there was authority in what he was saying, but it wasn't as aggressive as his counterparts, like LL. LL came out, oh, I'm back, and obviously running DMC, very loud. And then other people were just like very comical. Like you got like Slick Rick, who's just it's laid back and smooth, but it's so distinct. You can't really take that. Biz Marquis flow, you think about that. But when Rakim comes in the game, he drops Paid in Full. All of a sudden, there's a new way to rhyme. There's a new way to rhyme and get over with the crowd. There's a way to rhyme, and people want to hear what you got to say, even if you don't got to scream it. I think there's so many artists that take that thing that Rakim did, what now? Because it's 2025. So 38 years ago? 38 years ago, they took that and they've ran with it, I when I think of Rakim's flow, I think of the song like Violent by Sean Price, you know, when he's like, the beat is smooth, the rap is hard, just the way I like it, bless the mic and the God is violent. Um, I mean, Nas, let's just get to my final point, right? July 7th, 1987. And this is where I go into impact mode. This is my final list on cultural impact. So, right? So look, rap sounds a certain way, July 6th of 1987. July 7th, Paid in Full drops of 1987. And then from July 8th on, rap sounds different. And it's obviously different. If you don't believe me, ask Nas, ask Eminem, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, the entire Wu-Tang Clan, Snoop. And this is just to name just a few of the superstars that I know you respect out here for what they do, because I can't ask Big, can't ask Pac, I can't ask Pun, you can't ask Prodigy of Mobb Deep, you can't ask them. But there are so many people that are inspired and still is inspired by Paid in Full, the album, and everything it did for hip hop at that time. Again, as you look back at just certain albums, and again, I know there's biters out there. I seen people biting Jeezy after TM 101 dropped, and I seen people biting Snoop after Doggy Style dropped, and DMX. A lot of the people took the DMX flow, but it just doesn't quite work if you're not X. It just doesn't quite work. Um, if you're in the Wu Tang and you want to rap like Rand Ghost, you want to rap like Method Man, like you see it, but there was an entire culture shift when Paid in Full dropped. Juwan, what's up, my brother? What's happening, man? And with that culture shift, again, it's early, well, it's late 80s. I'm sorry, it's 1987. Paid in Full comes out. This is a new way to rhyme. This is a new way to get your style off, right? And I don't think you're gonna see a bigger shift in rap music from one year to the next than you do from before Paid in Full, after Paid in Full. I just don't think that exists. Let me go back to the comments real quick. Let me see. I joined the chat late. Oh, it's all good. It's all good, my brother. So I didn't hear your full list of impactful albums. So I didn't really make a list. I just highlighted some that could make this list because it's a very small and narrow list. But where's 50 Cent? I'm glad you said that. Look, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. I think you could put that in the top 10 for impactful albums for sure. And does your list have any female albums? Queen Latifah, Roxanne, Shantae, Moni Love. If I had to pick, now this is impactful debut rap albums, just the debut rap albums, but I would absolutely put a Queen Latifah Black Rain in my top impactful albums. I'm absolutely putting Missy The Real World in my top impactful albums. Um, Even though people may, speak negatively, I think Nicki Minaj, Pink Friday, I think that's a very impactful album. You look at last decade, female rap, what became the bar, how she fits into that bar. I think those are also very impactful. Again, to me, I measure impact on music is this way, you drop, and then music does this. That's how we measure impact. And that's why I do have Paid in Full at the top spot for most impactful debut album ever. Um, for me, and I don't think this is something that should be overlooked. And I don't think this is something that should be discounted by any stretch when I say this. For me specifically, Paid in Full is the definition of groundbreaking. It's the definition of groundbreaking. It's the definition of culture changing, as far as albums go, and we really need to recognize it and celebrate it as such. You know, obviously, I love Nas. Nas is the greatest rapper ever to me, but we should be celebrating Paid in Full like we celebrate Illmatic. That just should be a thing. Um, you should make room for this album on your GOAT list. Go back and listen to it. It's okay if you don't think it's the greatest album in the world. Just here's a starting point for a lot of your favorite rappers, though. And that's what matters. A lot of your favorite artists and their albums don't exist without Paid in Full. And to be clear, this is an album that I don't think it has any cussing on it. I don't think Rakim cussed one time on this album. So there's that. So no matter what you into, you can listen to this around anybody. Uh, so yeah, that's it for me, man. Hey, look, Paid in Full, most impactful debut rap album ever. You'll be hard pressed to find an album that is just as impactful as this. There are a lot of impactful albums out there, a lot of classic, impactful rap albums that exist. I am not short sighted than that, but what I am telling you, just based on what we listed today, Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim is the #1 slot, the most impactful. Whether you agree or not, let me know. Hit the comments. Let me know what you have up there as far as your most impactful debut rap albums, not rap albums in general, debut rap albums. Time for me to get my second 2-a-day workout in. Y'all be safe. Whatever you do out there, please celebrate life, live your life. Again, rest in peace, Uncle Cal. Prayers and healing energy to the McGee family. And until Tuesday, man, I'll get up. Because always, and consensually, it's love.